Well, hello, welcome. Welcome to another day of a little bit of reading. Let's end our evening with some reading. Happy Sunday. I hope you had a beautiful weekend. My name is Carla Elizondo. We usually read Elsie Lincoln Benedict's How to Get Anything You Want, but we are going to finish what we started yesterday. As a Man Thinketh, I read a little bit of the chapter titled The Thought Factor in Achievement. So I'm going to have a little playlist of As a Man Thinketh. I already have a playlist, but I'll call it nighttime readings of As a Man Thinketh, and I will label each of the chapters that we're reading together. But yesterday I left off, I just read the first two paragraphs and I'll finish it tonight. So the thought factor in achievement, the last paragraph we read was a strong man cannot help a weaker unless that weaker is willing to be helped. And even then, the weak man must become strong himself. He must, by his own efforts, develop the strength which he admires in another, not but himself. Nothing, no one but himself can alter his condition. So, in our journey to better ourselves, if we find ourselves at a crossroad wanting to level up, new level, new devil, we're always growing towards a new goal, no matter how small it is, whatever change it is, changes have to be made. We're going to get out of our comfort zone. It's growth. Some people call it growing pains, change, right? And change doesn't have to be painful. Oftentimes it is, but I like to say it's uncomfortable. It's the unknown. We love routine. We love things to stay the same. We love certainty. We love that stability of the known, the everyday, easy, we could do it with our eyes closed type of thing. And then when we're called to do something new where we have to like be alert and awake, it's like, there's times and seasons for that. But the only person that can change is ourself. And if we want to be helped, if we want to grow, we have to be willing to, as they say these days, to be coachable, to be open, to not come in with all of the knowledge that you know and try to prove yourself. If you want to learn something new, be that empty cup, the empty rice bowl, leave your shoes at the door, be humble. Don't come in with past achievements. If you want to have new achievements, who cares what you've done in the past? We can't rest on old laurels. We can't bring what we've done to the table. It's like if we're starting new with a new goal, right? Of course, we're going to use our experience and use that stuff on our resume or whatever. But like day one, after you get into the job, what are you going to do now? Like, what are we accomplishing now? Are we open to feedback? Are we open? Are we coachable? Are we teachable? Are we good students? I was just listening to an audiobook right now and it was just talking about, and I related to this so much. We so badly want to be teachers. We so badly want to know. I so badly wanted to be like an Oprah when I was like 20, 19. It's like, what did I know? What did I know? I mean, I had been through some stuff, but like I still had so much to learn and I'm still learning. And the only thing that I teach is what I'm learning. And so the best teachers are the best students. Um, this book particularly is about Jesus and Buddha, and it was just saying that Jesus, in this book, it was saying Jesus was not a great leader, but Jesus was great because he was the best follower of the Holy Spirit of God. We all loved Jesus and saw Jesus as a teacher because he was the best student. He was the best follower. And that rings so true. Um, so let's all strive. Well, if this kind of material speaks to you and you love this sort of material, be the best student. Come empty, come teachable, come coachable. Ask the questions. You don't have to know everything. It's good if you don't know something and just admit it. Look at this edible arrangement cup. We have a bunch of these. All my other cups were, I just washed them. But anyways, I'm drinking my nighttime tea. I put two different tea bags. They're both from Traditional Medicinals, the company. One of them is a night tea. I had it in my reel the other night. It's like just like a relaxing nighttime tea. It probably has like valerian root, chamomile, all that jazz. And the other one is like a lemon detox. So I just mix them together every night. I've been doing that. And they each have a message. One of them is on the tea bags. There is pleasure in the pathless woods, Lord Byron. There is pleasure in the pathless woods. Yeah, just get lost in the woods. I mean, not really, but wander in nature. Allow yourself to just get lost. And the other one says, if you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. Vincent van Gogh. If you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. How profound, these tea bags. I wonder who started putting messages on tea bags. Anywho, all right, let's continue this. So we left off, every person must make his own effort to alter his own condition. And also in this book, it was saying that you will not be enlightened just simply being around an enlightened master. You have to do the work yourself. You have to learn your lessons yourself. There's no like quick fix. There's no pill, which I would love so much. It has been usual for men to think and to say, and of course, I hope you aren't offended by it's just saying men, but it means men like human, like the race of men, not just a man, like male. Okay, it has been usual for men to think and to say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Oh my God, this is so good. I remember reading this. This is really good. Okay. It has been usual for people to think and to say, people are slaves because one person is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. Now, however, there is amongst an increasing few a tendency to reverse this judgment and to say, people people are like one person is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. Let's just break that down. I remember when this clicked to me, I was like, okay. It has been usual for men to think and say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let's hate the oppressor. Let's hate the one oppressor that's oppressing all of these slaves. But there's other people who say, one man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. One man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. The truth is that oppressor and slaves are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. If there was no oppressor, there would be no slaves. If there was no slaves, there would be no oppressor. So this is like meta. James Allen is going into like the thought system of you feeling enslaved, you feeling trapped to an oppressor. You are being attacked. Someone is enslaving you, or you might be enslaving yourself, like your ego. Life is the oppressor, and you are a slave to life. Your boss is the oppressor. We know that in certain cultures, like in American history, right? The white men were the oppressors, and the African Americans were the slaves, in different parts of the world. But James Allen is saying the truth is that oppressor and slaves are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge, with a capital K, a perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs belongs neither to oppressor nor oppressed. He is free. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. He can only remain weak and abject and miserably by refusing to lift up his thoughts. What's coming to mind is again Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. The oppressors were the Nazi guards, and the slaves were the poor people who were being held captive in these internment camps. And of course, in the world, the 3D, yes, that was what was happening. But James Allen is talking about even though we are might physically be enslaved, like Viktor Frankl did not, he was free. He had the choice to respond, to not be enslaved. These terrible people who were murdering, he was not letting, I mean, he was human, of course, he suffered the loss of his family, but ultimately he said he remained in control and free to think whatever he wanted to think. They could not make him think anything he didn't want to. So let's read this again. And this can be hard at first because it's like there's a lot of emotions and rage around those types of things, rightly so. And it's each person's individual journey. So no judgment in any way how you look at this. Okay, so it says, it has been usual for men to think and to say, many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. Now, however, there is amongst an increasing few a tendency to reverse this judgment and to say, one man is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves. The truth is that oppressor and slaves are cooperators in ignorance, and while seeming to afflict each other, are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed. So, a perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, condemns neither. A perfect compassion embraces both oppressor and oppressed. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs neither to oppressor nor oppressed. He is free. This is Vadim Zeland, the author of Reality Transurfing, talks a lot about pendulums. It's just like this energetic, powerful pendulum that people can get on. This rhythm, this idea, this thought system, we get dragged into these pendulums of culture, of thought, of idea. And he says to stay away from pendulums. Like slave and oppressor is that pattern, that play out is a pendulum. And if you don't buy into these pendulums, you are not at effective either, ultimately, right? It's like, that's a whole nother topic, reality transurfing and pendulums. That's kind of what's standing out to me here. Okay, a man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. He can only remain weak and abject and miserably by refusing to lift up his thoughts. Before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above slavish animal in indulgence. Okay. So before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above slavish animal indulgences. He may not, in order to succeed, give up all animality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. There was something just like scratching my throat. Okay. Okay. So before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above slavish animal indulgence. He may not, in order to succeed, give up all animality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. A man whose first thought is bestial indulgence could neither think clearly nor plan methodically. He could not find and develop his latent resources and would fail in any undertaking. That right there explains Napoleon Hill's chapter in Think and Grow Rich, the transmutation of sexual energy, the transmutation, yeah, the mystery of sex transmutation, when he talks about we have this creative force and this literally the ability to create, like our sexual power, right? Coming from our sacral center, right? For both men and women. And we can either give way and indulge in our sexual energies, right? Of course, like, having sex and doing all that, because we have those urges and we want to express and we want to feel that high and all of that stuff. That's the animalistic expression of our creative power. Or we can give it up to the higher faculties of the mind. and use that creative force, that sexual energy of love, um, sex, desire. He has them all detailed in that chapter. But lifting them up to thought and using that power, holding it, right? There's even things in culture of like men's circles of like semen retention. It's a real thing with athletes and holding off the urge to express themselves and get that release, both men and women. But instead using it in this mental creative energy rather than expressing it through our sex organs. That's really fascinating. If you, I actually have a video on Think and Grow Rich in 10 Minutes a Day. It's a playlist and it's on the transmutation of sexual energy. And I describe it, I break it down, I read it. I want to do the whole chapter in full because it's like one of the most watched videos on all of that. Go figure. All right. So he says, before man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above slavish animal indulgence. He may not, in order to succeed, give up all animality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. A man whose first thought is bestial indulgence could neither think clearly nor plan methodically. He could not find and develop his latent resources and would fail in any undertaking. Not having commenced manfully to control his thoughts, he is not in a position to control affairs and to adopt serious responsibility. So, if somebody couldn't control their physical urges, you know, they wouldn't be able to handle any serious responsibility, he's saying. Like when you're tempted, right? And unfortunately, it is seen more with men because their bodies and testosterone is just different. Um, to give in to every single urge, like pornography is a real thing. It's a real thing, and it depletes young men of their creative power, of their thought to be clear of mind when they're constantly seeking that dopamine hit, that high. It's a real epidemic. When I was in grad school, we did some studies on, just pornography use in younger generations, and of course the internet and everything that they have access to. It really affects their success in life. It's a real thing. All right. So it says, not having began to fully control your thoughts, a person is not in a position to control affairs and to adopt serious responsibilities. He is not fit to act independently and stand alone, but he is limited only by the thoughts which he chooses. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice, and a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices his confused animal thoughts and fixes his mind on the development of his plans and the strengthening of his resolutions of self-reliance. This probably goes into like animal indulgences, not just sex, but food. Um, you know, just pleasing the physical body, like doing what feels good physically. And a lot of people do that through, addictions, drinking, smoking, again, sex, pornography, food, just pleasing the physical body because you have an urge and you want to feel good physically. Because if we can't control those urges and those thoughts, we're kind of screwed. So there can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice. A man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices his confused animal thoughts and fixes his mind on the development of his plans and the strengthening of his resolution and self-reliance. And the higher he lifts his thoughts, the more manly, upright, and righteous he becomes, the greater will be his success, the more blessed and enduring will be his achievements. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, the vicious, although on the mere surface it may sometimes appear to do so. It helps the honest, the magnanimous, the virtuous. All the great teachers of the ages have declared this in varying forms, and to prove and know if and to prove and know if a man has not to persist in making himself more and more virtuous by lifting up his thoughts. Okay, let me read that again. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, the vicious. Although on the mere surface, on surface level, it might seem to appear so, like, crooked people just get ahead and they get favor and they're just successful. Like, that's not fair. So on the surface, it may appear so at times. It actually helps the honest and magnanimous and the virtuous. All the great teachers of the ages have declared this in varying forms. And to prove and know it, a man has but to persist in making himself more and more virtuous by lifting up his thoughts. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to the search for knowledge or for the beautiful and true in life and nature. That word, that's such a good consecrated. We don't hear that word a lot. I don't hear that word a lot. Hey Siri, give me the definition of consecrated.
Consecrated means of a church or land having been made or declared sacred.
Yeah, like a sacred. Okay, yeah. So intellectual achievements are the result of thought made sacred to the search for knowledge or for the beautiful and true in life and nature. Such achievements may be sometimes connected with vanity and ambition, but they are not the outcome of those characteristics. They are the natural outgrowth of long and arduous effort and of pure and unselfish thoughts. Spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. He who lives constantly in the conception of noble and lofty thoughts, who dwells upon all that is pure and selfless, will, as surely as the sun reaches its zenith and the moon its full, become wise and noble in character and rise into positions of influence and blessedness. This is like James Allen talks a lot about having base thoughts, like animalistic base thoughts, like low thoughts. It's kind of like mind in the gutter thoughts, lowly thoughts, as opposed to higher, sacred, blessed, consecrated thoughts, thoughts of a higher nature. So think about like low base metals, like aluminum, tin, copper, and then higher metals, gold, silver. And in the art of alchemy, right, turning lead into gold, like lead is it's a material of a lower nature in value and in use, lead, right? And if you turn it into gold, turning lead into gold, that alchemical process, so to speak, what kind of lead thoughts do you have? What kind of cheap, easy, base, ignoble thoughts do you have? And how can you turn those, alchemize them into higher thoughts of a higher nature, of a higher value, alchemize into gold, pure golden thoughts, rich thoughts. So spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. He who lives constantly in the conception of noble and lofty thoughts, who dwells upon all that is pure and selfless, will, as surely as the sun reaches its zenith and the moon its full, become wise and noble in character and rise into a position of influence and blessedness. So it's like, are you having basement thoughts or penthouse thoughts? Right? Achievement of whatever kind is the crown of effort, the diadem of thought. By the aid of self-control, resolution, purity, righteousness, and well-directed thought, a man ascends to the penthouse. Let's just put it that way. So achievement of whatever kind. By the aid of self-control, resolution, purity, righteousness, and well-directed thought, we go to the penthouse. By the aid of animality, indolence, impurity, corruption, and confusion, a man descends down to the basement. A man may rise to high success in the world and even to lofty altitudes in the spiritual realm, and again descend to the weaknesses and wretchedness of allowing arrogant, selfish, and corrupt thoughts to take possession of him. So we see this all the time, right? It says somebody can rise up to success in the outside world. They'll get to that penthouse and get to these high goals in the spiritual realm, like we see these gurus do, and then they descend down because they become arrogant and corrupt and these things take possession of them and they fall down to the basement, and then you see that they're sleeping with all of their students and all that kind of stuff because they couldn't control themselves. Ooh, this happens all the time. Or teachers sleeping with, even women teachers sleeping with their young students. Victories attained by right thought can only be maintained only by being watchful. So victories attained by right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness. Many give way when success is assured and rapidly fall back into failure. So many give way when success is assured. So people find the success and they get comfortable and then they stop doing everything that got them there and then they fall right back down to the basement and they fail. So we must be vigilant and watchful. That's how we attain our success. So it's everyday work, you know? I use that, well, I say it all the time, like my success today, my mindset today, my good mood today, my clarity of mind today isn't going to roll over tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to do that work. So it's like, back in the day when we had cell phone minutes and if we didn't use them, they would roll over to the next month. Like that's not how it works. Today's work is today's work. Tomorrow's work is tomorrow's work. Like this moment's work, this hour's work, this night's work is this night's work. It's not going to help me tomorrow morning. Like tomorrow's a new day. And more so, I know myself, and I encourage you to know what works for you in your mindset. What sets you up for success for your day? What is it for you? It could be different for everybody. For some people who are more religious focused, reading the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or whatever it is, reading their holy book in the morning. Maybe you're not religious at all and reading a personal development book in the morning. Maybe you just journal in the morning. Maybe you don't do any of that. Maybe you go for a run in the morning and get your workout first thing in the morning. Maybe you meditate and you're quiet in the morning and you don't read or do anything. What anchors you? Maybe you do breath work. Maybe you jump right in the cold shower. I don't know. Or what is it? Ice bath, ice, whatever. What do, what anchors you? What do you know anchors you? I know what anchors me and I have not been doing it, but I'm starting tomorrow. Working out first thing in the morning with music in my ear, music or like motivational audios or yeah, like music mixed with motivation, like affirmations and workout grounds me. It clears my mind because my mind will start going on its own path, being dragged everywhere. But if I don't train my mind in the morning, which for me comes through training my body, that's how I best anchor in and get grounded in my body. Because if I don't ground in my body first thing, I will be here, there, and everywhere. And it'll be like wild horses are taking over and it's off to the races all day. And I will be more easily triggered, more irritated. I won't be stable, right? It's like what anchors you for your day? For me, I know it's physical activity, getting a sweat in, even if it is just 15 minutes. Just literally like putting my timer on if I don't have a lot of time, like just I have like free weights and like resistant bands. I do have a Stairmaster. It's just getting on it for 5 minutes and doing some push-ups and sit-ups and some free weights and listening to some music and getting my the endorphins going and then hitting the shower and getting ready for my day. But like I know, like I know, like I know. And it's one of those things that it needs to be, it's a goal to be non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. I mean, I'm already running every day, but like I want to get it done first thing in the morning. I will. I'll report back to you tomorrow. All right. So a man may rise to success, but if he doesn't, he'll descend and fall flat down if he doesn't remain vigilant and keep doing what got him there. A man may rise to high success in the world and even lawfully, corrupt. Okay, he remains corrupt. Victories attained by right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness. Okay, I already read that. All achievements, whether in the business, intellectual, or spiritual world, are the result of definitely directed thought. Let's really let that sink in. All achievements, whether they be in business, intellectual, or the spiritual world, are the result of definitely directed thought and governed by the same law and are of the same method. The only difference lies in the object of attainment. He who accomplishes little must sacrifice little. So he who accomplishes little must sacrifice little. He who would achieve much must sacrifice much. He who would attain highly must sacrifice greatly. And remember what sacrifice is, the best definition. I think I learned it from Bob Proctor. Well, that's the end of it. There you go. Sacrifice is not suffering and giving up something that you love and just being without it and white knuckling it. Sacrifice is giving up and putting aside something of a lower nature to make room for something of a higher nature. Don't you love that? It sounds so much better. So sacrifice isn't giving up something you love so much. It's removing something of a lower nature to replace it with something of a higher nature. He who would achieve, he who would accomplish must sacrifice little. He who would achieve much must sacrifice much. He who would attain highly must sacrifice greatly. As a man thinketh. James Allen. The thought factor in achievement. I love this book. My one of my first like private, I think I still have it. I have like 100 followers. It's just my like private family and extended family Instagram account. And it's called As a Girl Thinketh. As a Girl Thinketh. I love that book. It's I love James Allen. And he has a lot of other great books. I love him. Like he is probably my favorite male author, James Allen. Like he's a soulmate. And Elsie Lincoln Benedict is like my queen. She is like my female soulmate author. Like her metaphors, Napoleon Hill talks about, I believe it's in maybe the chapter of the mastermind or the subconscious mind or the sixth sense, one of those the chapters. He talks about the invisible council where we go in and we use the faculty of our imagination to have a mastermind meeting with people who aren't physically here. Like they might be in another country, they might still be alive, but they're not with us in real life, or they might be passed on. They might not be living anymore. But we can use our imagination and picture sitting at a table with them. And so my invisible counsel could be Elsie Lincoln Benedict and James Allen. Like that could be one mastermind that I have, like my invisible counsel. And I can ask them for advice. Wouldn't that be fun? I'll try that. But Napoleon used to have his invisible counsel with who at Thomas Edison. Who else did he have his invisible counsel with? Let's see if ChatGPT knows. Let's check it out. Let's have some fun. One of my contacts has like this film over it right now, so I'm basically looking through just one eyeball. Fabulous. My eyes are a little dry. It was so warm today, y'all. It was, let's see, the high today has spring sprung? My friends, has spring sprung in Southern California? It might have. It was a high of 82 today. I got a little sun. Let me see myself. I got a little sun kissed. I had sunblock on too. Tomorrow it's going to be a high Monday of 80, Tuesday 80, Wednesday 84, Thursday 82. Oh, and then we do a hard dive Friday. It's a little cloudy. Ew. 69, 67, 66, 60, 59. Ew. Well, there goes our summer. But I don't know where this warmness is coming, but I am feeling it. So it looks like we have this spring/summer till Thursday, and then it goes hard nosedive on Friday. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Isn't there a button here for like oh, that is the 10-day forecast. Oh well. What are you gonna do? I'll take it. It was so nice today. God, it was so beautiful. Okay, what was I doing? I'm looking up something on ChatGPT. Okay, let's see if who was in Napoleon Hill's Invisible? Invis. I failed typing class. I ditched half the time. In high school, I was a bad baby. Okay. Who was in Napoleon Hill's Invisible Council? Let's see. ChatGPT knows. Okay. Oh, yeah, it does. It says it. Okay, so it says Napoleon Hill referred to an invisible council in his writings through his distinct form, through this. Let's start over. Oh, it just redid it. Napoleon Hill describes an invisible council as a kind of inner advisory board, a mental assembly of the great minds he revered and whose principles he wished to emulate. In various writings, most notably in Think and Grow Rich, he often mentioned that by mentally consulting with these leaders, he could access their wisdom and insights. Although Hill's recounting is part of his personal philosophy rather than a literal gathering, the roster of figures he credited typically included Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Alexander Graham Bell, Theodore Roosevelt, and Woodrow Wilson. Hill maintained that by consulting with these giants in his mind, he could draw on a wealth of experience and vision to guide his decisions and work. This concept has been both influential and subject to debate, it with many viewing it as a metaphor for the power of imagination and the subconscious in achieving success. Yes, that is very true. Um, but think about it. When you want advice, say there was like a grandparent or a parent that has passed, or aunt or uncle, or someone that's no longer with you, or maybe they are and they just live in a different state or country. And it's like you can't access them, you can't call them in that moment. But if you are sitting there and you get quiet and you tap into your imagination and you call upon this person, whether they be still here in physical form or not, but you just tap in and you ask them a question, you would hear what they would tell you. Like, you can ask someone their advice, like, hey, what should I do? I'm really struggling. And you would hear something. Maybe not like actually hear it, but you would feel like you kind of know what they would say. And that's when, like, even people, like, if you've watched a lot of my videos or you binge watched anything, like, I tell a lot of personal stories. You kind of know my personality. So I bet even if you were to ask me something, you know how I would respond to you. Isn't that wild? Like, even characters in movies, or like, okay, David Goggins, hilarious. He's a character. Like, he is David Goggins. If you, if we told David Goggins, like, hey, David, um, I'm really trying to get motivated to go to the gym and I just can't seem to stop hitting snooze. What would David Goggins tell you? We all know what David Goggins would tell us. He'd be like, he would have a lot of curse words and he would not have mercy on us. He would be like, you get your ass up and get your stop whining and complaining and just do it. No one's coming to save you, blah, blah, blah. Um, if we asked Kobe Bryant, if we asked Michael Jordan, like people that we've heard their mindset, how they think, they're like we all have access to this intelligence. It's like the real AI, but in our mind, it's like a chat GPT bot. We just have to tap into the essence from what we know of a person and ask a question, and we will get the answer. So it's like pretend like you have your own chat GPT. You are your own chat bot. You close your eyes and you ask, what would Kobe Bryant say about this? What would my grandma say about this? What would my teacher say about this? And you just sit there. What would Marcus Aurelius say about this? Like, you'll get an answer. It'll make sense to you. It's pretty crazy. Anywho, it is 9:40. It is late. It is way past my bedtime. What is she doing? I hope you have a wonderful evening, sleep well, or maybe it's the morning for you. It's going to be a beautiful week. We have our event kicking off Monday, tomorrow, February 24th at noon Eastern. Think and Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. If you have not signed up yet, all the information is below in my description box on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hop on over to YouTube and become a part of this community. I do live calls and post daily here on YouTube. And so I'm looking really forward to doing more content, but we have our live event this week. It's a 4-day free event at the Napoleon Hill Institute, streaming live, noon Eastern time. And we have Dr. Joe Vitale tomorrow talking about peace of mind, the importance of peace of mind as we go after our goals, right? Um, and we have David Meltzer on Tuesday. We have the coolest guy. His name is Donovan McGrath. He is the founder of Amplified Yoga. You better get your yoga pants on. We are going to be dancing our pants off, getting the energy flowing through our bodies. Y'all, you don't know what you're in for. That's going to be Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm going to be hosting a couple of the days. And then I'll be sharing a little bit, I think, on Thursday. But we have Cleona O'Hara, the CEO, the queen of Napoleon Hill Institute. And she's going to be sharing all of her wisdom. And oh my God, it's going to be such a good week. It's going to be such a good week. Decide that it's going to be a good week. What anchors you in? What anchors you in? I know for me, I have to be non negotiable with anchoring in every morning first thing. Because if I don't anchor first thing, it's like I get dragged behind the carriage and the coach, and the horses are wild and they will rake me across the coals. But if I say, I am the master now, you are not horses, you are not going anywhere until I dictate this day, and then I lead the horses, you know? It's so true. You know what it's like? It's like, have you ever watched Caesar Milan on the Pet Rescue? You know, he does the animal and he trains the dogs. It's like you're I'll speak for myself. My mind is like a dog that needs to be trained. I am the trainer. I am the owner. I am the master. I am the master. My dog is, my brain is the dog, my mind, whatever. My mind is the dog. I am the master. And he teaches you that you have to train the dog or the mind who is in charge. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this too. If you let your dog walk in the door before you, it thinks it's in charge. When you're walking your dog and it's ahead of you and it's pulling you, it's pulling the leash, who's in control? The dog is. Your dog's going everywhere. It's not listening to you. That's like the mind. But when you sit there and what does it do? Shh, shh, and you sit there and you start walking, and if the dog goes and you keep the dog right next to you and it goes right next to you or a little bit behind you. When you walk in a door, you walk in first. When you walk out a door, you walk out first and the dog follows you. Don't ever let the dog go ahead of you because then it thinks it's in control. That's just like your mind. That's just like my mind. When my mind, right when I wake up in the morning, it's like a dog wanting to start running and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 you get back here." So when I get up and I take charge first, then my whole day I'm in charge. Then I got to do it again every single day, you know? I was writing in my journal today and I was like, it's my emotional sobriety. Like I'm physically sober, thank God, but if I don't remain mentally, emotionally, spiritually sober, it takes over and I'm emotionally belligerent. I'm not in control. I'm not regulated. So I have to make a decision every single morning, first thing, that today I will be sober of mind and I will do what it takes to set myself up for success and stay vigilant. And if I fall or I get wobbly, I will go right back to center and just and when you set the tone in the morning, it's easier to keep it in the day. It's like what is it? What is it like? It's like a teacher. If you don't set the tone in the beginning, the first day, syllabus day, and you don't set your tone like for the first week of like you being the authority and tell the students how it's going to be, they're going to walk all over you and they're not going to respect you for the whole semester. So it's like if you do not establish it first, it's hard. You can establish it, but it's going to be harder to do it. Um, I keep thinking of like a wave, like when you're surfing. Like if you don't get the right rhythm, you're just going to keep getting knocked over. Like if you don't get in the right flow, you're just going to get pounded and then you're screwed. And you just got to wait. Anyways, thank you for joining me, y'all. If you want to work with me in any capacity or you're interested in any of the services I offer, I do one-to-one. If you're interested in human design, getting your reading, branding guides, I'm doing that for entrepreneurs and leaders. I got a lot of cool things going on, and it's all in the description below. Of course, we have the coaching program. I have my therapeutic coaching. I do 4 package sessions called Release to Receive. If there's anything blocking you, if you're really ready to receive what you know is there for you, but something's holding you back, whether it be self-image, negative thoughts, past traumas and events that you just can't get over, you can't just move past, and you lost your mojo. That's what these sessions are for. I use EMDR, IFS, tapping, EFT tapping. All the information again is below and it describes all of the services. So I would be happy to work with you if that's what you're doing. I also have a content creation mastermind. It's going to be a 4 week, I think I'm starting at March 10th, which is a Monday. It's going to go for 4 weeks to the 31st of March on Mondays. Um, I'm having a really great time with the group right now that I'm working with. If you want to post on social media, if you want to be more creative and expressive, but you don't know how, you're afraid, no one's holding you accountable, you don't have the motivation, you don't know how to get the routine going, this mastermind will help you. I'm going to put something together over the next week and then I'll talk about it and put it in the description below so you can read about it and join if you're interested in that. It'll probably be only 6 people, open to 6 people. I'll be the seventh, so it'll be a magical seventh number. If a crazy amount of people get in there, I'll just create different groups because I don't want it to be more than 7 people in the group at a time, just to keep it, small and intimate, and everybody could get their answers, questions answered and the support that they need. But that's all to come. There's a lot of exciting things coming. So I am so appreciative that you are here. I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I will see you tomorrow.